The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and other stakeholders are set to establish a database to determine appropriate methodology for the transportation and bulk storage of crude oil and natural gas in Nigeria. But meanwhile, Russia's Deputy Prime Minister says Russia plans to sell more than 80% of its oil exports to friendly countries this year. Oyeyemi Oke, partner at AO2 Law, joins us now to discuss these stories. Oyeyemi, it's a pleasure to have you on our show today. Thank you for your time. So let's start, first of all, by getting your thoughts on this proposal to generate a database to establish the appropriate methodology for the transportation and storage of crude oil or petroleum products in Nigeria. What do you make of that plan?
Okay, thanks for having me, Wale. In terms of the decision to have a database, I think that is actually in line with the mandate of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, which we call the authority here, because under Section 32, paragraph MM of the Petroleum Industry Act, the authority is mandated to maintain and publish database with regards to midstream and downstream operations. So the decision to do this, I would say, one, is not special because it's a regulatory mandate under the Petroleum Industry Act with regards to maintaining of the database. I think the special thing for me is the inclusion of other agencies such as the CBN, the NAIT, and perhaps other government agencies with regards to the gathering of data or their input with regards to having, with regards to the maintaining of the data. But I think another thing that is of interest for me would be if you look at the type of data that is supposed to be in the database, it would include data with regards to the crude volumes which are delivered to the refineries, data with regards to crude volumes that are exported, crude volumes that are sitting in the relevant terminals, and perhaps crude volumes that are attributable to companies. I think because of the peculiar situation which we find ourselves as a nation with regards to what we call the alternative crude evacuation process, which involves barging and trucking, it would also be good for the database to capture this. I know the authority has or currently is having concerns with regards to this mode of evacuation, perhaps because of the security and environmental concerns. But I mean, the database would also address what we are seeing in terms of the volumes that are being transported, perhaps through barging and trucking.
Right. And I guess this is really a stark reminder of, should I say, the challenges with the integrity of data from Nigeria, because depending on who you ask, Nigeria's crude production today could be somewhere between maybe 1.2 million and 1.5 million barrels per day. Do you think that there is a challenge with gathering data? And how do you see this working out in terms of its effectiveness?
Okay, I mean, I think with regards to we having what I would call disparity in data, perhaps the inclusion of other agencies such as the CBN, NAIT, and other government agencies may help with regards to harmonizing and having some type of central data. The interesting thing is that when I discovered this news, what came to me is at the end of the day, the authority actually has this data, and I would say perhaps they are well primed to have the correct data, because before anything is done legally in terms of movement and evacuation of volumes, you must get approval from the authority. So there is a likelihood that they would have good data. But I mean, looking at this vis-a-vis an organization such as CBN, it would also be good to harmonize data from that angle, perhaps because of the access to foreign exchange by the various operators with regards to their operation. But yeah, to my mind, I would say that the authority most likely will have this would have this data. Perhaps what we are having is a question of harmonization and accessibility of this data to members of the public. And I think that is where the provisions of the PIA comes to play with regards to maintenance of a database. My expectation is that that database will be made available to members of the public, and anyone that wants to use the data for planning or for research purposes will easily have it. Because one of the problems I think we've had is also a question of accessibility to data, and these sometimes feed into the discourse of having wrong data.
All right. Let's get to that Russia oil production story. And they're saying that they look to sell more than 80% of its oil of their oil to friendly countries. In a practical sense, how much success do you think Russia would achieve with that move? And would you say, from your view, that the sanctions are effective at the moment?
Okay, so if you recall, last year there were sanctions with regards to the purchase of crude oil from Russia by the Western countries, and as a result of this, Russia looked to Asia to help with regards to filling the gap for this demand, and they've successfully done that. If you look at the supply that has been made to India and China, right, in the last 1 year, India and China have actually taken a lot of volumes, perhaps, which the Western countries have taken. Now, the decision with regards to the cut of production is a retaliation by Russia as a result of decisions of the Western countries also to cut, to put a price cap on oil coming from Russia. And I guess this decision by Russia is just to retaliate to ensure that perhaps there is what we call some type of artificial demand because of the reduction of 500,000 barrels per day. And you would see that because of that simple announcement by the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, you see that there was an increase of about 2.5% increase in terms of the closing price of Brent benchmark, which closed at about $86 plus on Friday. So in terms of how effective it is, I would say it's effective. At least Russia is responding, and I think that may be a way to also push back with regards to the sanctions. But again, Russia is looking to, or has looked to, China in the last 1 year, or Asia in the last 1 year, with regards to taking up the excess volume which the Western countries have.